Yes. Hello and good morning, Erkki. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm actually on holiday, so it's nice
Mm-hmm.
to. If the plans would have been original, I would be now in Italy for the holiday. But since
Uh-huh.
it is what it is, it was cancelled, and I'm here at home.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I can see the beautiful background that you have in your back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, it looks great. Yeah, so we will wait for a couple of more minutes for people to join in, and then we will start the show, and I will introduce the show, and then also you would be introducing yourself.
all right. Thank you.
Yeah. Till then, how is your summer vacation going?
Well, it's the second day, so it's still
Mm-hmm.
kind of getting contacted by customers who don't know I'm on holiday. So and then
Mm,
diverting them to people that are at the office. I do try to nowadays hold the holiday as a holiday, not half
yeah.
work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, we still got you, and thanks for being a part of this show. I mean,
No, but
you're-
it's I don't consider this as work, so it's
Mhm.
and anyway, it's interesting to be in this kind of discussion. So it's nice.
Mhm. Are you in the? You're still in Finland, so are you in like in the northern part or in the
No, no,
middle?
I'm in Helsinki, so the capital.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay. You're in Helsinki now.
Yeah, and that's
Hmm.
in the south.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's the
Yeah. I
weather
think
seems
today
to
the
be.
weather. But today I think it's not that much sunny because yesterday it was like so hot and like so sunny. It was like crazy.
Yeah, it was quite nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice. But today, like, it's I don't know, it's not super sunny, and it even looks like it might rain today. I don't know. I mean, in this part of Espoo, it like looks like it's gonna rain.
Yeah, so it well, they are promising that today might be thunder. So
Ah, yeah, that makes sense. We will wait for 2 more minutes, and then we can start at 9:05 if it's fine
okay,
for you. Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. I'll just
All
go
good.
in. Just posting it to my LinkedIn just to remind
Mhm.
that it has already started.
Yeah, no worries.
Mhm. Just 1 more minute. Yeah. 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 I think now we can already start. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to another show of the Breakfast with the Shortcut. So, who are new to this show, it is in this show we will be covering different topics around entrepreneurship and then mindset, perspective, and also emotional intelligence. And today, our show is about monetizing your passion. So, we will talk around how to monetize your passion in both your entrepreneurship life and also your personal life. And today, we have Erkki with us.
Hello.
Hello, hello, Erkki. Thanks a lot for being a part of our show. So, if you would, I think a lot of people in Finland already know about the company Finnplay and also know about you. So, but we also have some international audience. So, it will be great if you would introduce yourself to them.
Yeah, so my name is Erkki Nikunen. I'm a partner and CMO in a company called Finnplay. What we do is it's a software company, and we build an iGaming. So those of you who don't know the term, it's gambling platform for online casinos and betting operators. And
Hmm.
yeah, we build basically turnkey solutions for operators who are working licensed in regulated markets.
Hmm. And would you also like talk about like your journey from like how you found your passion and how you got into the industry or like your professional journey?
Well, in the iGaming, I started in 2003. That was actually by accident, which I applied for an interesting sounding job as a business owner, and uh, and then found out that actually the gambling industry online is really interesting and changing industry. And Yeah, I worked. My first stint was 6 years. Then I went back to IT, where my roots are, for a couple of years, and then I joined Finnplay as a partner. Company is founded by an old colleague of mine, so he asked me to join in.
Hmm. Well, that is
And
interesting.
yeah,
And
didn't take long to decide because I got to go back into the industry I enjoyed.
mhm. And did you also like have like other professions over the years, of course, and then like was it
Yes,
like in the position that you're working now, or did it change over the years?
of course the positions have changed. We've grown from when I joined the company, it was we were 6 people, and now we're about 80.
Mm-hmm.
So of course there's different roles now. Now you don't have to do everything in the office by yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
and
And also, like, were you always, because I know that you're a great sales and marketing guy. So were you like always in this field of sales and marketing, or were you in different other fields?
uh, well, sales and marketing has been major part of it, but of course I've been doing all kinds of things from
Mm-hmm.
commercial side of things and to putting up startups and that kind of thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
on the side. So it's there's a lot of things that there, and I am involved nowadays in several companies. So it's different things that to do.
Mm-hmm. So what would you suggest to people who are having a hard time finding a job that they're passionate about?
Well, of course you need to do a bit of self-exploring in the way that what is it that you're looking for. That is it the job itself that is the
Mm-hmm.
major key that is your passion, meaning that if you're a doctor, I don't think that you maybe care so much. Are you in public or private, or are you a doctor without borders? As long as you're a doctor, then of course for other people it may be the industry that they want to work in, maybe because of their education or such. Or for some people it may be just a company I want to work at
Mm-hmm.
Google
Yeah.
or SpaceX, and that's the goal that they have because they are interested in that field. So it's important to understand that what is it that you are passionate about, in my
So
opinion.
so do you think like passion is like innate in people, or can you like find it, or can you like grow it over the years?
Yes, you can grow it. A lot of people may see an opportunity in a market,
Mm-hmm.
and they may not be passionate about it, but they know it's a good idea
Mm-hmm.
as a driving. So it force it can also be about necessity. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that. But of course, when you start to do something, you have even if you see that okay, this may not be my industry that I'm most passionate about, but there is clearly an opportunity there, and of course you cannot do it halfway. You have to do it as well as you can. So
Yeah.
then you have to find the passion, if even if it wasn't the idea that you wanted to do originally.
Yeah. I think it also goes on with your previous answer that you have to try out things because it might be innate in you, but if you never try it out, you never know like if you had it already. So then when
Yeah,
you go
exactly.
into different sectors or you do different stuff, then only you know like if it was innate in you or you
Mm.
grow it over the years.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you think should be the next step? Like after, let's say I have found my passion, like what should be the next step after that? Where do I go from there?
Well, that that of course comes back to the hard work. That if you're not in that industry and you want to be there, then I would say that you need to make an effort to get acquainted with the industry, build a network in there, uh, apply for jobs,
Hmm.
do market research. That is there something you can do yourself. Uh, there's plenty to do. It's rarely that you should just jump into something without exploring it a bit first. What does it actually mean?
Hmm.
But
So So how would you say like how can you transform like your passion into a business venture or entrepreneurship? Not of course not everyone is looking to do that, but like for the people who would like to turn their passion into entrepreneurship or in a business venture, how where do you go from there?
well, I think that there's a couple things that you need to decide. One is, of course, the first is that you need to make the decision that you will do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
if you're in a already employed and having a
Mm-hmm.
security of a salary, it's a big change because nobody's going to come to drag you in and that I want to buy your stuff. It will take a long time to build it, and during that time you're going to be in not so secure, and of course you don't really know before you do it that is it going to work.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but of course to minimize the risk and the change is to actually make a proper business plan. It's if that's done correctly, you can find a lot of things that you need to correct even before you do it. So maybe there's a flaw in your thinking that you find by actually building a business plan.
Mm-hmm.
um, and if you find it in the planning phase, it's easier to correct than after a year.
Mm-hmm.
And
How
uh, yeah.
And then like if you like do that like the business plan and you've created all of this, how do you find a market that fits your passion? Because I mean there are a lot of people who are passionate about, very niche markets. And I'm also guessing like when you entered the iGaming industry, I don't know like how buzz or like how much it was actually in action. But then like so how do you find that market for your passion when you get in?
Well, when you get in and you decide that this is what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
again it's a lot about finding your let's say your sweet spot in the market is a lot to do about research, and there will be information to be found about your passion, so it needs to be looked into. uh, and it's easy it is easier to do that if you are working in something that you can easily try out. uh, like uh, it's more difficult to make a proof of concept if you're working on a new trash compactor, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a much more complex issue than if you come up with a new kind of a fork. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's and there of course, so what it means to come up with a minimum viable product, and to have a proof of concept of your idea. So the more difficult it is, and the more difficult it will be to find investors, even if you would
Mm-hmm.
have the best business plan. But if they see that the initial investment is going to take 2 years to build the product, and will take X amount of money, so it's going to be a difficult task to find investors who will really do that,
Mm-hmm.
and have the capability to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is why a lot of the entrepreneurship and the passionate work that people do goes along the side of them actually working a full-time job and doing this on the side until
Mm.
that becomes their full-time job. Because I mean,
Yeah,
if you like, let's say like these things called slime, or like any different things that you look into that are coming new, if you like, no one knew like slimes or like this cartoon or like this art or like these things or these trends would go super trendy over the next years, then they would of course like keep on doing that. Like if you already being in, there was this thing called, mixed martial arts. Like if you thought at that time, like I don't know, 15, 20 years back, no one would give like any, like you wouldn't have any tangible thing to do. But now if you were stuck in that industry, you would be a part of a $500,000 or $1 million business. So like things like those, like if you just stick in those, and then over the years it might grow into something that is actually a full-fledged business and not just something that people do for passion.
yes, exactly. I mean, I have friends who have a job, and then they're making cakes on the free time, because
Hmm.
that's what they love to do.
Yeah, until that cake making businesses, and then like these different cakes, or like they start putting out like cake
Exactly.
t-shirts, and then taking in
Mm.
subscriptions for birthdays, and they just send in cakes, like until it becomes their full-time business. Yeah, that is super interesting.
Mm.
And then like how would you give your passion a price tag? Because I think that is one thing that many people struggle with in the beginning. Like, how do I put a price tag on my passion?
Um, well, like I said earlier, most likely you're not completely the first one in whatever you're doing.
Hmm.
Maybe there's already somebody doing the same thing.
Hmm.
What is good, of course, is to get an understanding of the price level of the market, and then see if you can do something differently. I mean, can you provide your product as a service? There would be a recurring price tag, rather than a one-time fee. Or if, I mean, if you look at
Hmm.
the around the city, that you go, and you can, anywhere you can get the electric scooter to go about. So you don't have to buy one, because there's somebody has thought of the idea that they provide that as a service.
Hmm.
So they don't need their own product, but they're still working with the scooters if that's their passion. So, and they
Hmm.
just come up with a new business idea. Now, of course, there's many of those companies already in Helsinki as well, but if you can license or something, so you can actually be very creative about the pricing,
Hmm.
and the market will tell you if the pricing is wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a big part. Like also like that the market always decides and not us. So like you can think like even like, let's say, I mean, for me, like I can give like small examples. Like let's say for an artist, if he or she is selling like their artwork for like let's say 100 euros, and then the market will fix like if it is actually 100 euros.
Yes.
And then of course you can stick into your price tag, but then like at what point? Because at first you might want to start a little low, because you are still gathering your audience and you're still bringing in your audience.
Yes. Yeah,
So
that's completely true. So the market will tell you, and of course you have to have an understanding. Nobody's going to
mhm,
pay
yeah.
5 times the price if the product is not there.
Hmm. And then how would you say like you find like a passion and work balance? For example, there are a lot of people who go into like from their passion to work, and then they don't like it very much as a work as when they liked it when it was their passion. Where do you find that balance?
No, one way to do that is actually just to uh, to make yourself an agenda that or schedule that you stick to. So
Mm-hmm.
it's it is very easy to have your own business and never have a holiday, or if you're on holiday you're still
Mm-hmm.
working from holiday,
Yeah.
and eventually it will start to wear you out. Of course, sometimes you don't have a option to select otherwise, but once you have, you should try to make yourself as unnecessary as you can, that
Mm-hmm.
you can take a holiday and there are other people to support you.
Mm-hmm.
It's always more difficult if you're a sole entrepreneur, like if you're a farmer. It's difficult to go for a holiday as your cows still need to eat in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and they need to be milked and everything else. So it's they have people who come to help you during the holiday season, but still it's a bit, you're a bit more tied up in the work because of the
Mm-hmm.
work you chose.
Mm-hmm. So, which platforms can you use to begin with? Let's say when you go into that mindset shift that I want to make this passion, I want to monetize my passion.
Well, of course, there are plenty of social media for that. Like a lot of small businesses start with just a simple Instagram or Facebook page, and they add LinkedIn and Twitter accounts, and do it from there. But then, of course, there are specific uh, platforms for startups, finding putting investors or angel investors and startups together. Like there's investor.com,
Mm-hmm.
which is originally a Finnish platform, but I think it's now around Europe,
Mm-hmm.
providing the same service. So that's where people, particularly, they go to tell about their business idea and what they're doing and how much of the shares they're willing to give away, or if they're looking for a loan or something like that. So it's there are quite a lot of that kind of platforms that startups and small businesses can facilitate to find
Mm-hmm.
find customers and investors.
Yeah. And I think it also depends on the product that you're passionate about or the service that you're passionate about. Because if you're trying to sell something that is, more tangible, you might go into those platforms. But then again, if you're, let's say, passionate about gaming and you want to do something for your gaming, at first you go into Twitch and you build your platform and your audience in Twitch, and then you drag in those audience to the other platforms where you can actually sell them something, or you can
Yes,
run your YouTube channel or like these different channels, so you drag them in there.
yes, that's correct.
And then, like, how I know, like, you are a great sales and marketing guy, so I would like, this is also like, I'm super interested to know this. So how do you market yourself when you go in, like when you start, like how would you market yourself? I mean, it is of course different for different businesses, but in general, like how do you think one should market themselves?
No, how you mean building your own personal brand? Is that the question,
Yeah,
basically?
yeah.
Um, well, like you said, it depends on the industry. But for instance, in iGaming, which is online,
Mm,
there's a lot of groups and people are on LinkedIn. So it's build a network there, then have
mm,
try to have something meaningful to say that people will see, and all of a sudden you start to have a large network of peers, and who actually can read your post, what you say, or
mm,
your. It doesn't always need to be important thing to say personally. You can share information about the industry, which can be interesting, and and for us there are few exhibitions around the world where we take part. So we try to have a speaking opportunity in those exhibitions where people come to listen, and and there are certain areas of expertise that we feel more comfortable to talk about than possibly others. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't even directly relate it, but I couldn't talk that much about affiliate marketing
Mm-hmm.
where than I could about
Mm-hmm.
responsible gaming part of the industry. So it's even though you're an expert in your industry, there are still things that you know more about than this one than that one. So it's
Mm-hmm.
try to do that, and after a while you will start to receive requests to come to speak or take part in something, or you get uh, people are looking for you to invest or to get you to join their company, and then you start to notice that you have created an impact in the industry. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think also like a lot of people like they are going in like they're always like selling, and they're never thinking of like how do I get the exposure, or like what value would like giving some comments or like talking about the industry would provide me. But
mm,
then again, if you just talk about, it is about reputation. So you just build your reputation that you do this in this way and you know about this subject. I think that gives you a leverage to attract more audience and more people wants to listen to you. That is why all of these collaboration models are coming up, where people are going in and talking with the same people in the same industry, and then they can leverage that audience and that exposure for themselves.
yes, exactly, and the reputation is important also for the selling part of things. I get a lot of direct contacts that say that the company or I have been recommended, and that's why that we deliver a good product and can be trusted,
Mhm.
and then they contact us directly.
Mhm.
So then you also know that you've done something right if when your peers start to recommend you for your work.
Mhm. Yeah. Would you say that everyone needs some sales skills to like get into like from passion to entrepreneurship?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's quite necessary. I mean, it doesn't matter what your passion is about, and however you go about it. But the thing is that you are always going to need to negotiate, whether it's with finding new customers or investors, or just you're renting a new office space. You need to negotiate about that, and so it is an important skill, whether or not you're good at it or anything, but you do need to present yourself and your company and what you're doing to a lot of people all the time. So uh, a very good way of doing that is actually trying to put your sentence or your company in elevator speech. So meaning that can you present your company in the time that it takes you the time to go in the elevator with somebody when they ask you, so what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
And you have only time until the fifth floor to explain what you do. So you have to kind of squeeze it into one or two sentences what your business is about.
That's a very interesting concept. I've never heard it. That's super
Yeah,
interesting.
elevator speech. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's it's a
Yeah, because I think a lot of like entrepreneurs when they go in, they have to like pitch their ideas to so many people. Even like if you want a co-founder or a team member, you have to pitch your idea to them. I
yes,
mean, apart from all the customers and investors and everything, you will need it for yourself no matter where you go in.
yeah, you
And
do,
since,
and
and since you're such an expert in this field of sales also, so how would you suggest like how would they learn these skills, or like how do they go in? Do they just go in with their product and try to sell, or do they like start taking courses or something like that?
no, I don't think that courses are necessary in a way. Of course, they may help if you feel like it to give you the confidence, but selling is a lot about getting out of your own comfort zone and just being able to talk to strangers in a way that you make yourself understood. So it's but it's not something that somebody cannot learn. It's not you're not born with sales skills. You just need to start to do that, and you don't need to be an expert salesperson in any way, but as long as you can represent you and your idea well, because that is what you're going to need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because at the end of the day, it is everything about selling. Like you just have to convince them. Like even like let's say for an example, even to bring you on this show, I had to like sell the idea. Like this is what the show is about. This is what we are going to do, and then like you present the idea and you try to make the other person convince. I think that is a skill. Like if you talk about selling or negotiation, all combined, and I think that is super necessary.
Mm, yeah, I think so.
And now I just want to say it for the audience. We will be taking in questions now. So you can feel free to ask them in the comment sections and I will show them up. And what tips would you suggest to the people who are passionate in this session, like who are listening now? What tips would you suggest them to monetize their passion or to
Mm,
find their passion in a whole?
well, I think it's a bit of a recap what we discussed earlier. So
Mhm,
I think that important is to do a proper business plan
mhm,
and return to that business plan every 6 to 12 months to see if there's anything that you need to correct in it.
mhm,
Uh, because that is still always what any investor will ask as a first thing, that what is the business plan that you have.
mhm,
Build a network of contacts in the industry that you are in, and
mhm,
be active in the brand building, which we already discussed earlier. And 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 of course, the most important thing is that it is about your passion. So don't let anybody else tell you how you should go about it. I mean, take advice from somebody who has a lot of experience, but still, at the end of the day, it is your passion, and if you don't do it how you want to do it, it becomes somebody else's passion.
mhm. So would you also say like so about the branding and those parts of the things who are having a hard time to get an audience, let's say they're doing all of this and but they still have a hard time to attract an audience, what would you suggest them? Like do you keep on doing what you're doing or do you go into other ways of doing the branding and marketing, or do you just stick to the plan that you had and you just keep on doing the same and repeat it over the years?
Well, I think that somebody says that if you do the same experience, and you will get the same result.
Mm-hmm.
So if something is not working in what you're doing, you have to change it.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. That's what I mean with a business plan. That go back to it every 6 to 12 months, and see if that are you there where you were supposed to be, and then why you're not, and make corrections.
Mm-hmm. Also, would you say like that, like in all of this, like all of this selling and branding and all of these parts, would you say that storytelling is also a very important part that you have to do, like, or you have to learn, like how to storytell it about your startup or about yourself or about your skills?
Yeah, but that again comes to a bit in the of the sales, and brand building, how you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to combine into that, is it the storytelling? Is that if you feel that it's a more enticing way to attract people to buy your product, then by all means. I mean, there are a lot of companies who are doing it exactly like that. I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
even HP or Microsoft, they like to have the story where they show the garage where they came from, and the same with the Amazon or any other big company, that this is actually the house that we started from, and
Mm-hmm.
now they're in a different place, of course. But so storytelling is important, and maybe it's not even about the story; it's about how you tell it. So
Mm-hmm. So like how would you say also like from this topic of like monetizing your passion, do you see like more people going into like this, like they would monetize their passion, or do you think like it is something that people would still be very much like taken aback for like not doing? Because I see a lot of people who are passionate about a lot of stuff in the entrepreneurship culture or also like in the job culture, because they don't want to like, I know a lot of my friends who are still going into computer science because that is something which gets you jobs, but they're not passionate about that. They might be passionate into sales and marketing. So what would you suggest them, or do you think that it will change over the years in the future?
Well, I think the whole job scene is going to a large change, and of course, this past year has kind of accelerated it. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people want to continue working from home,
Mm-hmm.
and people want to work when it fits them at the moment and how it fits them. There's always been some people who want to work from 11 in the evening until 6 in the morning just because that's their rhythm of the day. But I, and they were looked as odd birds at the time, but it's changing now. So the whole scene and everybody wants to be a social influencer and work from there. So there's a lot of options nowadays on
Mm-hmm.
how you can go about the normal work life, even if you are or are not passionate about it or not even looking, but at least you can be passionate about how you work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would sign up for the office which goes like from 11 to 6. So if anyone is listening and have an office that goes from 11 to 6, that is like super interesting. But I think yeah, like many people are doing that, and also like would you also suggest people to stick to their passion and try to build something from there, or would you say like go into analyze the market and go what is the most suitable or what is the most optimum?
Uh, well, it depends a lot what the passion is. I mean, if you are passionate about some particular thing, but there is no market or you are not able to make it. I mean, at
Mm-hmm.
one point you also have to realize that
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is my passion, but it's not possible to monetize it in the way that would give me a comfortable life. So then at some point, of course, there are entrepreneurs who go back into employment and or start to do different. They look for another passion that they can monetize.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that if you find that okay, I really like this and it doesn't work out, then you have to rethink.
Mm-hmm. And would you say like also like to your point, would you say also there are like one person can have several passion, or is it like everyone is just passionate about one thing?
No, why you always have certain parts of your life. I mean, you have a family, you have work, you have some hobbies that you do. Maybe you can change another hobby into
Mm-hmm.
a passion. So it, of course you're not locked into one thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you can have like a lot of passion. There is like no judgment that, like you were a sales guy. Now, why are you a marketing, or you were a sales and marketing? Why are you passionate about accountant? So you like, I think there is a lot of discussion on like people are lost in that way that they're not passionate about one singular thing. But then
Hmm.
it makes no sense because actually you can be passionate about a lot of things. There are people who are actors and then cricketers and then golfers, so like
Yes.
having all of these passions and hobbies is not a negative thing, but a positive one.
No, but the sport is a good example. I mean,
Hmm.
you can be a passionate tennis player, but you're not gonna make it in as a profession, at least not to past a certain point.
Hmm.
And then you have to have a plan B because you can only be a sportsman for a certain part of your life.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you don't make enough money to actually retire at the age of 35 when you need to retire, depend of course on the sport, uh, you have to have a backup plan.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we just answered this question. It was, is it okay to be jack of all trades, or should we focus on just one? So you just focus on the different, I mean, you do the different ones, but then you also have to monetize which one you can take into as your profession. Would you say that?
Well, well, you do need to focus on something. You cannot do everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you have five passionate things,
Mm-hmm.
you have to prioritize it somehow, or then you have to have a lot of contacts and people working with you to realize all of those. It's not an easy task to focus on, especially if you're doing it by yourself and just starting up. It's not an easy task to do five things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Something will not be focused on properly.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think, like, to the point of like sports, like if you cannot be someone who is a good golfer, but then also, like as Erkki mentioned, like there is so much opportunity because of the digital world currently. So you might be someone who does golf commentary, or like who reviews different shows about golfs, and or who like sells golf t-shirts, or like who sells golf balls, or like all of these different, you might have a show where you bring in all the golf players and they just talk about it, and you can, because
Exactly.
because you love that, so you should be able to put in your hours apart from your work, which is your main work. So you put in those hours until you actually have something that is monetizable from that channel or that source of yours.
Yes, and you at some point you need to jump in.
Hmm.
I had an employee
Hmm.
at some years ago, young guy, and he came to me and said that he needs to quit because he wanted to be a professional golf player.
Hmm.
So then that's what he should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is super interesting because of all the opportunities that wasn't just available just a couple of years back. And it will be super interesting to see when, like, this, this YouTube there are this football trick shots player. So when they will be earning more money than the real football players, that would be super interesting to watch, if it ever
Yeah,
happens, of course.
yeah, yeah.
Then there is another question: how do you minimize the gap between planning and taking action?
Well, that is the question. I think that if you really want to minimize a risk, uh, again, I would say a business plan is important thing of that you have really thought it through. Then depends on how you see it. Maybe it is not a good idea to jump in it 100% in the beginning.
Hmm.
It will take longer time to build it if you do it after work or off hours. Uh, but then at least you do keep that security blanket a bit of the income that you have, and if you have any savings, of course you can use those for count that. Okay, I have 8 months time with the funds I have that I have to make it, and then I still have time to make corrections to the plan. But I would say that then it's a good. It is not a good idea that if you decide to do the jump, that you're already thinking too much that if I haven't made it this point, I need to find a job. I mean
Hmm.
that eventually comes if you fail, but and a lot of people do fail, and that's okay. You can try it again, and there's no shame in trying and failing. I would say, but making the jump is always a risk, and and there you can, of course, you can try to minimize it, but there is always a risk.
Hmm.
So and like I said, that is the biggest decision that you have to make, is that are you willing to make that jump, because it might be hard times for the next few years, but if you make it and you work hard and it works out, it is extremely rewarding.
Yeah. And it is much better than doing something that you don't like at all and you hate your whole day and you're just looking for the weekends.
Exactly. I mean, for me, it's personally, it's quite nice to work in a field that I am interested in and passionate and success will come.
Hmm.
And and it's much better than to be miserable somewhere else, even though perhaps you could have a higher income working for somebody else, but still it's important, it's a large part of your life. So if that part makes you not so
Yeah.
happy, so in my opinion, better to be paid less but be happy.
100%. Like if you really want that golf show, you might not earn that much money as a golf player, but then you have to choose, like, do you want to be doing this or do you want to go into the whatever job you're doing currently?
Yeah, and of course, if your passion is strictly making as a big fortune as you can, then you should aim for that, because then you're already happy being unhappy, but you're doing your passion, so getting
Mm-hmm.
as much paid as possible. So
Yeah, I think it has to be the goal, like not the thing. Like if you're passionate about making more money, then do that. Like whatever is making you more money.
mm,
Hmm. Those are some great answers, Erkki. Thank you so much. And I
you're
think I've
welcome.
already taken extra time from your schedule. You're already on holiday, I know that. And
Yeah, so I have no schedule, so it's fine. So
okay, that is great. And it has been great to have you. And for the people who hasn't joined us, I think people would be commenting in the posts or the videos that we will upload later on and post produce. So would you accept to answer those questions if I forward them to you?
yeah, sure.
Well, that is great. Thank you again for providing so much value, and thank you again for answering all the questions from me and also from the audience. I'm pretty sure it will be a lot of value to the people who are trying to find their passion and also trying to monetize their passion after they've found it. Thank you
Okay,
so much. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, and have a great day and have a great summer vacation.
All right, enjoy.
And thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.